Because it's a bit of a technical question, but it's also not far from what some of the media houses are struggling with right now. AI is a new thing, but also it's not cheap. So you might get those cheap options that are free to use, but are those that actually are premium and can give you good quality content analysis and are a bit high tech, if I may say so. So with content generation, research, script writing, and so on, it's a bit easy because it's more or less what some of you might be doing in your studies, using AI to generate a paper or a thesis and so on. But then when it comes to the reality of things in the newsroom, because you have to be responsible, like it's been mentioned by Karanja and the rest, you have to be actually cautious in which tool you use, but also the goal of you using that particular tool. Some newsrooms are struggling to even come up with their own AI strategies internally. As internews, we've received a couple of requests from some of the big media houses in Kenya to support them to come up with internal AI strategies, leave alone the national government AI strategy, but internal AI strategies. We've done in other countries, but in Kenya, we are seeing how to support those media houses with this strategy. And having your own AI strategy as a newsroom is really important because it now relates to your editorial policy. You know, each media house or each newsroom has their own editorial policy. KTN is different from the editorial policy of Nation and so on. So coming up with a strategy and a policy around AI that relates to your editorial content or editorial policy, but also with the content you're relaying out, your niche, and also your audience is something that most media houses are now doing it. And for audience analysis is really a key tool because we've seen media houses transforming into not only being a one-way avenue for relaying information, but they're also now relying on the audiences to determine what kind of content they put out. So here we are bringing in a new and a very important aspect in the information ecosystem, the audience. They now matter more than they did 5-10 years ago when just media houses were doing stories one way. Now it is the audience that actually dictate what kind of production or content is relayed by the media houses. So now using AI to kind of do content analysis and audience analysis is a key tool to actually see what else can we do in the space as a media house, what other content do our audiences want, but also who is our target audience. I know a majority of you here, if you want to know more about, let's say, a musical concert coming up in the next quarter or this year or end of the year, there's a certain influencer you will follow on TikTok, right? Or if you want to know what someone is saying about the Gen Z protest, there's someone you'll click on exactly on your Instagram or TikTok to kind of know what they say. So that is the same for media houses. The audiences are now going to particular newsroom to know what is happening in this space. For me, I have preferences. I'm a big radio fan because I have a background in radio. I've worked in the radio space in Kenya. But then in the morning, I do listen to certain radio stations because I want to hear what they are analyzing about what is happening in the country. And then moving from there is when I go to the office now, I can log on to Facebook and so on and see what is happening, what are people saying. And then maybe in the evening, then I can sit down and watch the news. So you see, that is me. The other people who would wish to do differently. But now it brings the question of, will it now disaggregate or maybe discriminate in terms of who wants to listen to what? Does it mean if I don't listen to, let's say, Fixing the Nation in the morning from NMG, then will they know what my preference is? So it's a bit of a technical question. That's why I was asking what informed your question. But I'm glad that you're thinking about it now at this stage. But it's an area that most media houses are actually using AI for audience analysis. Allow me to respond to the Soledad, and then for the PR question, I'm not a PR expert, so I will let that be. But we've seen a lot of billboards nowadays using AI. I kind of have my own personal opinion about them because they are not so real. So I don't know what the sales and the marketing team want to achieve with that, because it's a bit detached from the common mwananchi. When you see someone really perfect with no pimples or no spots in the face and then telling you that you can use this cream, I kind of have my personal opinion about it. But for the skills, the leader, sorry, the gentleman, I hope I've answered your question. If not, maybe the other experts here. So Lidad, it's I think a question that most young journalists are struggling with. When I was a journalist, 2007 back then, I practiced for around 7 years, and I started as a political journalist. I used to just run to ODM events, PNU events, and do political stories, and I felt that's not really who I am. So in 2007, I was trained by Internews. So I'm a trainee of Internews. And they introduced me to health journalism. And I kind of resonated with health journalism because I could do good feature stories that actually had the people's voices, not just the politicians or the leaders. I kind of found that is my area, and I stuck to it. And to date, I still have a bias to, I love politics, yes, because it matters, but I have a bias to health journalism and humanitarian journalism because it's about people. Humanitarian journalism, I came to now embrace it when I was working in South Sudan with the humanitarian context. The reason why I'm giving you this background is in the past we had options to choose from, and you could get employed in media houses where they will say, you are our health reporter, you are our political reporter, you are our environment reporter. But nowadays you see in most newsrooms, I will give an example of the BBC. When you see an advertisement, they say we are looking for a multimedia journalist. So what does that mean? It means they're looking for someone who is an all-rounder. They want you as Solidad to be able to go to the field, collect data, collect information, come back, do your story, your script, transcribe, do your script, voice it, look for infographics, produce the content, and even when needed, air it yourself. So a multimedia journalist is one who can do video production, radio, audio, all this in one go. So it's quite an interesting field because for us, the millennials, we are used to, I'm a health journalist, I will stick to it, I love it. But for now, the new generation, you're forced to now be all-rounder so that you can fit in this space. So I won't give you a definite answer, but I feel there's need for you to prove yourself in this space right now. It's become difficult for some of the old generational journalists who now find it difficult to fit in the current newsroom, so they've gone to podcast. Others have gone to do their own content online, open their YouTube channel and produce content and make money from it. Others have gone to open their PR firms. Others have gone to open their communication firms. So because we feel that this space is not for us. But for you guys, you have the technical bit of things, like technology is on your side. You learn so fast. You have tools now that are introduced in universities that you can actually use thereafter. So I feel for now, being all-rounder can really help. Hope I've answered you. Sorry, Catherine.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. Let's appreciate you. Okay, thank you so much, Sanbur. I believe that your questions have been answered. That was very, very good answers. So for the interest of time, let me give a different question to the remaining panelists. So a question comes, yeah, what policies or ethical frameworks do you believe are crucial to develop now to ensure AI's role in news evolves in a way that serves the public good in Kenya? So let me repeat again. What policies or ethical frameworks do you believe are crucial to develop, if they are not developed yet, to ensure that AI's role in news evolves in a way that serves the public good? Maybe we can start with Gregor and then Dr. Michael.
Okay, thank you very much, Daktari. I think the questions that have been raised, including the last question, are questions that borders ethical dilemmas. My background is mass communication. Your lecturer, 𝘔𝘬𝘂𝘧𝘪𝘤𝘭𝑚, was my college mate many years ago. But I've never practiced journalism. I went into civil society. But communication skills are very relevant in civil society work. And my colleague here can attest to you. Because you interact with information, communication, changing attitudes, and behaviors, and it's all about communication skills. But when we were learning communication, and I know Professor here has talked about mass communication 100, 101, and all that. Channels of communication was the basic. And when you look at that cycle from the source, the medium, the audience, the feedback, and the decoders, it was through a system that there are roles that are being played at particular stages. And even in the pathways of communication, and I'm happy here we have a professor of photojournalism, where we had print, electronic, photojournalism, and now they're evolving, the new media. Everybody now is a photojournalist. If you have a superior smartphone, you don't need a camera to get a photo, and we've seen that in our country. I'll just joke your mind with examples. When the military helicopter in 𝘔𝘬𝘭𝑚 was involved in an accident and we lost the CDF of Gola, the first photo shoot that was shared in social media and even the media houses came from a local who was in 𝘔𝘬𝘭𝑚. The first person to break the news that a military helicopter has crashed in 𝘔𝘬𝘭𝑚 was not a journalist. It was just, previously we used to say amateur photo, whatever, but you see, the thing is professionally done and conveyed in an accurate manner. So these are dilemmas now. Do you need to be a trained journalist in order to take photographs? Do you need to be a trained journalist in order to interact with artificial intelligence? Of course, you know the answers. But here is a situation now where, with the evolution of the media, as well as also advancement of technology, find our policies and laws outdated. Because even regulators such as the Communication Authority of Kenya, the Media Council, are grappling with, in terms of their mandate and the new order that is now prevailing globally, regionally, and even nationally in our country, where they are now rethinking of reviewing of these policies and laws to suit the context and the era of emergence of technology. Social media was not there. I joined employment work when we used to have what's called Messenger. Messenger was by Yahoo, and then Facebook came. And if you are found using Facebook in the office, it could amount getting a warning letter and even losing a job. Because it was interpreted to be an online space of idlers, people who are looking for girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, something like that. That's how people interpreted it. How many organizations grapple to have the best social media pages now, including academic institutions? That is where now we are. But that's something that, because we did not understand it, we used to condemn it. And most people who were casualties at that time were young people who had joined the employment because they had been exposed to online engagements. But people who are older had not interacted with it and even found the usefulness of it. And of course, theirs was a bit reactionary and took them time. It was only just the other day of 2015, 2016, 2017 that people now started embracing online engagement using the technology tools and applications that exist. So my last reaction, I think the question by the lady, is it Elsie, on public relations. I mean, the subject of public relations is casually, I mean, those who are non-professionals, the way they treat it, and you must have also heard of people saying, hiyo ni PR, hiyo jamani wa PR, hiyo jamani watu wanafanyia nini? PR. Is it in a positive way or in a negative way? In a negative what? Way? Because they don't understand what is the role of a PR. They just interpret it to think that PR is just managing people's minds to accept it otherwise. But that is not the case. So I think just the way we have the field of medicine, we have the field of law, we have the field of engineering, even communication field is an area that also ordinary people needs to be engaged to understand its contribution to society, and not necessarily in politics, business. It's also arts, as well as also socially. Families have been established in online spaces because people have met. Some have been duped. Reverend, some people have traveled all the way to Europe because of an social engagement, maybe over a year, using a photo that is AI generated of a beautiful girl in Kenya. Only for this person to find that this person was not a lady, and has traveled all the way from Europe to come here to see the fiancé, who has been engaging online for a whole year. And our media has covered such kind of unfortunate instances, without necessarily stopping to reflect and verify and say, is this a real human being? Is this the person, or wherever? And of course, they do videos using, they just manipulate it. So I think this conversation is very timely, that it begins somewhere. I know tomorrow I'll be making a presentation on regulatory framework, policies and laws to assist in combating misinformation and disinformation. And I look forward to other engagements through the discussions in this conference. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, colleagues, for the useful discussion. I think I'm learning a lot. And I want to, although we will be listening to that presentation that my colleague is talking about, a regulatory framework, the issue of ethical frameworks to be put in place in AI is something that is a bit elusive. And maybe as I answer this, I will be answering what Bukachi, Soledad, and Elsie have asked. That when we are talking about framework, the other day I was thinking about the value chain of AI and what has happened since 30th of November 2022, when OpenAI released publicly the ChatGPT. And from there has been proliferation of other generative pre-trained transformers. And not only ChatGPT, but others were some owned by Google, others by Microsoft. And AI in all their forms and transformations, their forms and what we call manifestations, it has become a kind of a thing to fear. And I have realized in this world, we have 4 types of people when it comes to the AI value chain. And unless we understand where we are, we'll not be able to come up with a framework for that. One, we have AI producers. These are the people who came up with AI when we were not aware. And number 2, we have AI entrepreneurs. These are people who are selling AI to us. They may not have necessarily produced it from the beginning, but they are either using algorithms to innovate, algorithms which existed from the first producers, or they are creating something out of that. So after entrepreneurs, we have AI consumers. AI consumers are people who are using AI to do work, to leverage on what they want. And when we talk about news production, I think that is where we are. We are trying, how can we leverage on AI for news production? Then we have AI discussants. These are a kind of people who just discuss AI. They are not ready to leverage on it, but they want to discuss it. And it is very unfortunate that when I try to think about this, I realized academia falls in this, that we are discussing AI and we are not ready in most cases to know how to leverage on it to make our work easier. Then the basis of them all are AI resistance. These are people who resist AI with all their resources. They are ready to pay the cost that they have to resist the use of AI. And I'm telling you, this category has no future. In the next 5 years, we'll never fight them. And that will follow also those who are just discussing AI. So when we are talking about framework, we need to know where are we placed in this. And then for the Gen Zs who are here, my advice would be, remember, AI is not replacing anyone, but people will be replaced by other people who know how to use AI. This is what I'm saying. Know this. People who do not know how to use AI, baby boomers, Generation X, the millennials who are resisting AI, and they don't want to use AI, they are going to be replaced by you people, if and only if you learn how to leverage on AI in your area, whether it is music production, whether it is in media, whether it is film production, theater, in all those categories. The challenge is with us. How can you leverage on this particular tool, which cannot be avoided in this particular era? And if you place yourself in either of those, of course, it is very hard for you to be an AI producer now. But you can be an AI entrepreneur. You can be an AI user in such a way that you are using it to leverage and to create value in your life. And that way, you will also transform your life. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's appreciate them. Maybe, yes, as we come towards the end of this discussion, let me pose this to Jackson. Now that the Media Council has laid down policies, or rather, strategies and rather policies that guides journalists on how to, do media, how to become more authentic, how to, give proper information. So what would be your take with reference to the question of, having policies that touch on AI-driven content with respect to media? Of course, touching on the code of ethics for the practice of journalism.
Thank you, Benjamin. Well, we live in a society, and I was reading an article the other day. We live in a society where we bring change, then we impose regulations to make sure that that change is not enjoyed at all. Because you will notice that when you look at the aspects like some clauses in the Cybercrimes Act of 2018, they were looking at how does Kenyans interact with technology and the cyberspace. As an institution, we have revised. Recently, we were doing public participation that sought to revise the code of conduct. Because when you look at the second schedule of the Act of 2013, some of the tenets in there were not able to capture aspects like the digital space. And that's why we were getting to a place where someone has done something and you want to ask, which law has it broken? So on one part, you have the freedom of expression that is provided by the Constitution of Kenya. Then at the same time, you also want to ensure that this freedom does not infringe on another's. There is that clause we normally say that where one person's right ends, that's where another person's begin. So there is need for us as media actors, as journalists, as student journalists, as practitioners, as policymakers, to remember that while all these advancements have come to improve our working, I was showing Professor right here, as the discussion was going on, I had just opened the otter.ai and it was just picking your words. It tells me speaker 1, speaker 2. So later on, I'll be able to look back and say, oh, so this is what speaker 1 said, okay? So advancements in technology were meant to make it easy for us to actually interact and do our daily jobs as journalists, as content producers. But at the same time, let us also remember that all this that we are doing also have a limit to them. And that's where guidelines come into place. As an institution, I've mentioned we have the guidelines on AI use within the media practice. And it's important as student journalists to also interact with this so that you do not sit at a place and you feel that you're left behind. That's my response. Allow me just to add something. Something Madam Fatma has mentioned about a journalist. And I remember I used to tell journalists, and I will continue telling student journalists, be an all-rounded journalist. Do not become a one-liner journalist. In that, and I give this example, you have gone for an interview at XYZ media house, and you get there and they tell you that we want a TV journalist. Then you tell them that I am a camera operator. So when you people will get an opportunity for a camera operator, please reach out to me. That will not happen. That's why you'll see sometimes you will watch the news at 7 and you'll see the likes of Melita Oletenges doing the news at 7, and then you tune in at 9, they're still doing the news at 9. In that, they're able to convey the news in English and in Swahili. Be an all-rounded journalist. Have skills. Understand what camera work is. Understand how to take photos. One day you'll get to a newsroom, the anchor is not there, and they tell you, can you anchor the news? Will you tell them that I will not be able to do that? Be an all-rounded journalist. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's appreciate Jackson. Now, Jackson, you can pass the mic to David, and I want to post this to David. I'm happy that I have a photojournalist like myself. So that's also my area, and I'm interested so much in photography. And it was good to read your paper, quite interesting. So in an era where AI can generate hyper-realistic images and manipulate photographs with unprecedented ease, how do we redefine the notion of photographic truth? And what implication does this have for the trust of visual journalism, history documentation, and personal memory?
Great question. Fantastic question. Those are the key questions, and those are some of the issues and themes I'm going to talk about in my presentation tomorrow and show some visual examples. Bottom line, what my position is, there's no such thing as AI photography. Just delete that phrase from your vocabulary. Photography is done with a camera. The word photography means writing with light. AI can create the most, and I worked on this for months with Midjourney, with other programs, trying to emulate the look of a photograph using AI. And I came very, very close as you can possibly get, to the point where you can create images that can fool somebody into thinking they're photographs. So before I go further, I want to point that the key word in this whole discussion to me is the last word in the theme of this conference, ethics, right? So if you're using an image that looks like a photograph, you can't use it as a news photograph. It's not a photograph. And it can't be anything more than a symbolic representation. In other words, I would consider AI-generated images that are photorealistic to be just that, photorealism. They're illustrations. Just like I would say that any AI video, as realistic as it could possibly look, is just a very hyper-realistic form of animation. It's like a cartoon. It's animated. It's not a real cinematic creation. So there's no such thing as an AI photograph. And if we had something before called photo illustrations, Newsweek magazine was very famous for putting images on their cover that were created digitally, somehow to alter something, to look like Lady Di was still alive or something like that. But if you looked on the contents page at the bottom, it would say in very small print, photo illustration by so-and-so. Maybe most people wouldn't know where to look for that, and they could be fooled into thinking they were looking at a photograph. So it's an ethical issue. So if somebody's going to use an AI image in the context of documentary or the context of news, they have to be very explicit and state clearly that this is an AI image. And we're not trying to fool you into thinking this is an actual photograph. So that's the general answer, I hope, to that question. I think that's really it. And so when I got to the point, and I'll show some of these things tomorrow, when I got to the point where I was creating images that looked very much like photographs, I started pushing back on people that were using the phrase AI photography, because we get a lot of hate by people that are hardcore purist photojournalists who are very against AI, like really militantly, almost in a hostile way, against people using AI, saying, "Oh, you're a traitor to the craft. You're destroying your reputation as a photojournalist." So I think the lines have to be very clearly drawn, and so on. So having said all that, there are many, many, many other ways of using AI to create images that don't have to look like photographs, and I can show you some tomorrow. I've run my own photographs through ChatGPT and turned them into paintings, for example, and they look very interesting in that sense. But also, as I think that AI image making has probably more use for PR, for public relations, for advertising. I'll show you tomorrow a series of graphic design images that I've created for some CBOs in Kenya, advocating for certain kinds of issues. It's very good for that. It's great for that. It's a way of creating illustrations. But the closer, again, you get to photography, that's when you start running into these ethical dilemmas of people questioning, is that a photograph? Is it not? Is it a lie? And so on. So those are good questions that require a lot more time than we have here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's appreciate David. Thank you. So for the interest of time, we'll deal with the last question, and then I'll give direction. Kindly pass the microphone to Professor Wilson, because it's an academic question. So on behalf of the academias here, to what extent does integration of AI, artificial intelligence, in media research and production enhance scholarly output? And what are the associated challenges related to ethics, credibility of research output, and academic integrity? So to what extent, how far can we go? Remember, these are media scholars here, but how far can we go integrating, AI in our research, and especially the output? Where does ethics border? Karibu, Professor.
Thank you. This is a question that Jane here could also have taken very easily. But, so as we continue to grapple with this question of AI, for us in the academy, one thing we have to realize is that nothing can substitute our own judgment, our thinking, our assessment of reality. Research is simply means going out to investigate something and then reporting back on what you have seen, what you have heard, what you have touched, what you have smelled, and those kinds of things. So AI cannot be able to do that for you. You've got to do it yourself. Now, if you're going to use AI, it should only support help to support, to make better, to amplify whatever findings you come up with as a researcher. But it shouldn't replace you and the role that you have to, the primary role that you have to play as the researcher. We are still in that phase, and probably I will also talk about it in the afternoon. We're still in that phase of general confusion in terms of how we, systematically apply these technologies and incorporate them in what we do. But gradually we will find our way. So in fact, if you moved around a number of these universities and even research institutions in this country and beyond, you will find that most do not even have a clear policy or strategy in terms of how to apply AI uniformly across the various undertakings, research or otherwise, that they might actually be doing. But fundamentally, so speaking, I think that, in my view, technology shouldn't replace you, the primary researcher, because researchers bring a lot to the research experience, and that cannot be taken away by technology.
Thank you so much, Prof. Maybe parting shot on academic, Dr. Ann, maybe Jane, sorry, Dr. Jane Minor. Sorry, Dr. Jane.
Thank you. I'll pick from where Professor left. To me, AI is an enabler, it's an enhancer. It makes routine or repetitive work easier, even for the scholar. And I'm happy about some publishing firms. They allow you to use AI, but acknowledge. That's the aspect of ethics, so that you don't just plagiarize. And the way, allow me to be the African I am, we've been taught to deny. Even when you have sought help from AI, you still say it's my own. And I think that's where the ethics part is coming in. When you've used AI, acknowledge that I've used AI. I've seen it with some journals like Taylor and Francis. They ask you what AI you used at what level, which one. And when you acknowledge, because of course they will run. So even when you deny on this other end, you are lying. You appear to be lying on the other end. So acknowledge that you've used it and how you used it. So AI will help us. I've seen, even when we're preparing for these presentations, AI is able to crack into those gateways that some publishing firms have put. But you try going to look for the paper and tells you register, buy, and do what. Yet AI was able to bring you the data. So at times it's helping us also navigate through the gateways that information handlers have put in place. So let's use AI, but let's also acknowledge, and let's be truthful. Remember the fact and the truth. Let's be truthful on where we have used it. It's not wrong to consult AI. It even makes your work easier, but let it not replace the critical thinking part of it. AI does not think. It's you to think for it. And I think that's where the humane or the human aspect is very necessary. There is a part that you will have to bring. AI will bring you this, fragmented issues, but it's you to put flesh. It's you to put sense now into that write-up. So what does this mean? I remember I shared with my colleagues during tea break about my chained truth and my runner. So I asked ChatGPT, what you do, draw for me the truth behind. I asked it, draw for me a chained truth and a runner with false, and it did. Then I again went back and told it, fine, what you do, draw them facing the same direction. So what they did, it just turned the truth, a chained truth, to be ahead of the lines, which is not true. It is not true. According to my photo now, truth was ahead and chained, but behind the runner who was carrying the false. And I said, no, this is not right. And I chose the first one. So that part can never be replaced by AI. So even as you use AI, sit down, look at it and say, is it really passing what you really intended to pass? So that's the critical part of it. And then number two, what is it that you want to bring in, so that we are now able to appreciate the human in you? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate our panelists. For the interest of time, maybe now we can resume our seats. As they sit, I want us to do again 5 good Nyayo claps for the panelists. Let's prepare our hands. 5 Nyayo claps. Moja, mbili, tatu, nne, tano, fungua. Sorry, please, 2 gentlemen, can you get these off? It's blocking the road. Yes, sorry for that. So for the interest of time, ladies and gentlemen, I know that you have so many questions you want to ask, but we still have time tomorrow. We have an afternoon session that is starting in a couple of minutes. So we want to break for lunch, and then we come back. So we will take, maybe if you are able to take 15 minutes, we want to be back at exactly 2. It's 20 minutes to. We want to be back at 2 for the official opening ceremony. The Vice Chancellor is ready and he will come to open, to officially open this ceremony. And we will have the opportunity to listen to the keynote address. So ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, allow me to invite, is John here? Okay, Mr. John is out. So you will allow me to invite maybe one of the students, a volunteer, to say a prayer for us, pray for food as we go for lunch. Maybe one volunteer, quickly. Yes, thank you, thank you. Let's appreciate Francine as she comes to make a prayer. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's believe and pray. Our dear everlasting Father, I come before you this afternoon, thanksgiving in our hearts. Thank you for the first session that we've been able to have. I pray that even as we break for lunch, may you enable us to go and eat well. May the food bring nutritional value and not cause harm. And I pray that even when you come back, we may be refreshed and ready to learn. For it is in Jesus' name I pray, believing and trusting.
Amen. So we'll allow our guests, together with the Dean, to leave, and then we will issue you with meal cards and also direct where you are going to have your meals. So remember, our faculties and our guests will leave, and then students will remain. Please, students, remain. We want you to... so we have meals for everyone here today.
Try nice and lovely lemon lotion today.
Sawia. Okay, so you will walk outside here and you'll get a meal card. We are having our meal at the mess. Please, we really request that take the shortest time possible and be back. Look, we are happy that you guys are here this morning, and it will be embarrassing when the other guests are here and you are not there. Please make your way back, okay? We really... Yes. So you can use either doors. You will be issued a meal card on my left and on my right. Let's do that very quickly so that we are back here at exactly 2. Please, very quickly. So make sure, please, I'll take my photographs before 2, a few minutes. Please, mkuwe mefika tukupige picha. Yes, yes.
Nawezaje kunyamaza wakati umefanya hela mai, sijaona namna. Nawezaje tulia wakati umefanya we Baba, namna hii sijaona namna hii, nawezaje kunyamaza? Sijaona naweza